look up the word representation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Representation, no taxation without representation, that bullshit. So for us as Black folks, they target us, trying to say that we can't make decisions for ourselves because why? Because we don't even realize that the land that we're on is our actual home. Not somewhere over in Africa, but here in the United States. And because they've tricked us into it by swindling us out of our, you know, land and property here, they saying to themselves, well, if you're stupid enough not to know that America is your homeland, then you don't need us. Then you don't need to be in charge of your own life yourself, because you stupid enough to believe this lie that you're from Africa just because we say so. And it wasn't even real, because we just did it to say, just to try out how far we can go with y'all as con men, as con artists.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
see, the term Africa comes from Cyprio Africanus.
right.
So the term Africa is a misnomer to begin with.
Right.
I don't even acknowledge that word.
Right. And we shouldn't.
It's a mix-em.
Right.
See, so when we go into these places of court of law, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens is, in a short, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
We have given away our rights, our unalienable rights,
your
through
essence.
Through contracts.
Right.
So when we sign these contracts, right?
Right.
We forget to invoke and enact the actual and factual real law. So we take on the policies of the corporation, like the brother was saying earlier with the driver's license. That's a contract between you and the DMV in the state.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Once you have that on file, one of the telltale signs of a contract that you have with the state is your name is in all capital letters.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the telltale signs of you or your straw man, right? For the listeners, straw man is essentially basically you on paper.
Right.
Not you, the natural person with eyes, ears, hair, 2 feet, 2 arms, and a head. We're talking about you on paper.
The corporate you.
The birth certificate.
The entity.
The receipt.
The entity. The corporate entity. So there's a distinction between a natural person and an artificial person.
Exactly. That's the perfect word, brother.
Exactly.
Listen, law is not my forte. I will defer that to you guys, but I know a little bit, just a little bit. But we get in trouble because we sign these contracts,
right?
And upon us signing these contracts, there's stipulations that do not work in our favor.
Right.
For example, hiring representation.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That is a fiction of law.
Yeah.
Because how can someone stand in and represent you?
Exactly. Because that's all it is. It's a representation of you.
A trick bag, right?
Exactly.
And what do they get to entice us? That damn fiat fake monopoly money with the slaves on it. For those of y'all not aware, George Washington, all these white folks that are on these dollar bills, they are the slaves. Hear me?
Yeah, sister, you breaking up.
You're breaking up a
Go
little
ahead,
bit.
listen, sister.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just go ahead and travel for a time and listen. And when you get to your destination, You know, I don't want to miss what you said.
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure you said something profound, but we didn't catch it.
Yeah, I was just saying about how George Washington, on the money, in terms of money, that fiat money that they trick us into lust with. They trick us into falling in love with money. At least here in the United States, right? So this is what I meant by the trick bag. They trick us in, you know, with the fiat money and giving it its power. Because you have to remember, the U.S. dollar has no real power. The only reason it has lasted for so long is because of so-called black people, right? It's because of us. And if y'all pay attention close enough, I know people hate Donald Trump and don't like to listen to him, but it would do y'all well, meaning the listeners out there, it would do y'all well to really start paying attention, take emotions out of things, and chew the meat, spit out the bone, take it is for what it is. You know, information is information regardless of who's delivering.
Facts.
So in terms of what I'm talking about with this fiat money, they got us in love with it. And I remember when I was about to buy my first car for the first time, they were trying to say that I didn't have enough credit as young as I was, so it would be in my best interest to try to find a what they call it, a co-owner? Co-signer, right. So in terms of this money, black people are the co-signers of this U.S. dollar, this fiat. It has no real value in the world if we want to really talk about finances. It has no true value. It only has value. Why? Because of black people and the way that we glorize it and help them to be like a PR team for them. We're like, in terms of America, the role of the so-called black man and woman and child, our role is to be the marketing team for these white people.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it any better.
Right. This is the only reason why white people are as successful as they are all over the world today. Who wears when it comes to, think about it, when it comes to designer clothes, who are the ones that wear these Italian dressmakers? Or these Latin dressmakers, you know, these Louis Vuitton, you know, type of people. It is us, right? So that's our monetary value right there. We are the marketers. We are not only the bankers, if you will, we're everything. Hold up the world in terms of money. So, with your fiat money that has no value, that these slaves are all printed on, because believe it or not, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, all of these so-called founding fathers of America that they tell us to study about in history, these are the indentured slaves. They are the real slave class.
Indeed.
That was the reason. That was the reason they came to North America in the first place.
Right. They needed a land. Right. Just like the so-called Jews never had a land and nobody ever wanted them. I'm gonna let that breathe for a second.
That's a fact. The case
I'm gonna let that point.
Honestly, I think it was a whole big scam to get them pushed over there for them to claim it.
Exactly, Tariq. Thank you, brother.
How you gonna take Palestine? How you gonna displace Palestine?
Right. I was gonna bring that point up tonight. Thank you, Tariq. You absolutely hit it all on the head. That's, brothers and sisters, our listeners, repeat what you just said, Tariq, one more time for them. That's profound.
So more than likely it was a whole big conspiracy, the Holocaust, killing them, showing them that. Probably had a few couple of thousand to get a couple 100,000 over there.
Right. And this
push,
is exactly it.
and get the Nazis, who was Jews too, pushed over there to claim that land.
Bingo.
They want to
Bingo.
talk about a real Holocaust. Let's talk about Leopold.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
Oh, they didn't even show that they had our people in a Holocaust under the chemical military experiment in Germany.
Absolutely.
That's a fact.
So to expand on what Brother Tariq just said, y'all, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what happened between World War I and World War II. These so-called Jews, the same people, yes, that this week tried to dispel and socially exile Nick Cannon and Deshaun Jackson, these same Jews are the ones, their ancestors are the ones that popped off the meaning behind World War I and II. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about how they played both sides of the fences.
Bingo.
If you are a people who have no land, no one on earth wants you, nobody on earth wants to have anything to do with you, no one, no imperial family, no emperor will give you a part of their land for you and your people to live upon. What do? You have to create a problem to make your word seem as though you are telling the truth and that you are not liars and that all you want is just a little piece of land to live on. And that is exactly what they've done to America. And everything that they made us learn in school is all a lie based upon this right here that Tariq just said. Go ahead.
Hold
brother.
on 1 second. 1 second. I just found this out earlier. Kanye West has made a statement concerning Harriet Tubman and the slaves.
Right.
Kanye West, you can look it up. Kanye West basically said Harriet Tubman didn't free the slaves. She took the slaves and brought them to work for other white people.
Correct.
That's crazy.
Wow.
But
Correct. Everything in school is a lie.
It makes sense because when the Dutch took New York from the Indians, they needed servitude.
Bingo. So it went from agricultural to industrial.
Dutch.
That was the real war. There was the war versus agricultural, right? The old sharecropping and all that versus industrialism.
Right.
The new wave, automation and things of that sort. That was what the Civil War was about. It was about the so-called slave class, who's going to have the workforce in reference to the slaves, right? Was it going to be the old age of agriculture, or is it going to be the new industrial boom that they needed the slaves, so-called slaves, to work up there in the north?
Exactly.
Not only that, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you determined sharecropping, because a lot of people don't really use that term. But what I'm getting after you just said that is that everybody who gets named, like on a dollar bill or something like that, is somebody that helped them to get to where they at.
Right.
So whether it was Harriet Tubman supposed to be on the $2 bill, or Martin Luther King and all that, people that actually helped them to do whatever they needed to do.
Right. Because what you got to remember is that they work on a system of you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. That's their system. That's their whole bread and butter of how they do things. And it's shiesty.
Blackmail. It's blackmail too.
Crooked as hell. This is where honeypots come from. Remember in The Godfather Part 2, Michael, they now in Nevada, right? In The Godfather Part 2, they go to Nevada, try to set up shop for those casinos. And in the beginning of the movie, they entertaining this senator of Nevada.